Every empire claims that its money is safe. Every state tries to convince people that the promises it gives are constructive. And every time, history quietly, and indifferently, tears these claims apart. It happened in Rome. It happened in France. It happened in America. And recently, it happened in Lebanon. People wake up one morning and realize that the money they worked for years to save now means almost nothing. Their salaries were no longer enough. Their savings had shrunk. Their futures had disappeared inside the systems they believed were solid. In reality, collapse is not a rare event. It is a rule repeated throughout history. The real question is not, do systems collapse? The real question is, where are you when they do? When we look at money, we think of it as something tangible. We see a number in our bank account. We see the name of a government, and we feel reassured. But money is not marble. Money is an insurance built entirely on trust. And trust, sometimes disappears overnight. That is why history is so important. Because every collapse clearly shows who survives and who loses everything. And strangely enough, the ones who survive are not those most loyal to the system. They are the ones who questioned it first. Let's take a look at the Byzantine Empire. Even after the fall of the Western Roman Empire, Byzantium managed to stand for 1,000 years. One of the key reasons was its currency, the gold solidus. It was trusted so much that merchants from Europe to the Middle East accepted it without question. It was the most reliable currency of the medieval world. But here is the irony. Rome had previously made a major mistake by debasing its silver coinage. Centuries later, the Byzantines made the same mistake with gold. The purity of the gold was reduced little by little. At first, no one noticed. Then they did. And at that moment, trust disappeared. Suddenly, that coin stopped being gold. It became something that only looked like gold. And the economy collapsed along with it. So who won during this period, do you know? Those who were not blindly loyal to the state's money. Those who quietly held real gold, or land beyond the state's reach. Everyone else's money slowly turned to ashes. This teaches us a very simple but very old lesson. States cannot resist the temptation to debase money. And when they do, real value leaves. But not every collapse comes from monetary gains. Sometimes life itself turns the system upside down. The Black Death of the 14th century. Nearly half of Europe's population was wiped out. Cities emptied. Villages were virtually erased. Trade stalled. Yet strangely, for those who survived, the world became completely different. The population had shrunk. Labor had become valuable. Land and housing were abundant. Opportunities emerged for those with money, those with assets, or simply those able to work. Things that were once unreachable suddenly became attainable. If this feels familiar, it's not a coincidence. We witnessed something similar during the COVID pandemic. Those with liquidity accumulated assets. Those living paycheck to paycheck struggled to survive. Pandemics redistribute wealth. They always have. Let's move to Florence. Once the financial center of Europe. There were large banks. Everyone trusted them. They won't collapse, people said. Then kings failed to repay their debts. Banks collapsed. And people lost their savings. That day, one lesson was learned. Being big does not mean being safe. There is no such thing as too big to fail. This lesson appeared again in 2008. It appeared again in Lebanon. The same story is told every century. During the American Civil War, there was a similar picture. Money was printed. A lot of money was printed. And the currency lost its value. In the South, it was almost completely wiped out. People could no longer buy bread with paper money. Who survived, do you think? Those who owned land. those who had food. Those who possessed something tangible. The same thing happened during the French Revolution. People were asked to trust paper money. But when too much was printed, no one wanted it. People preferred food, gold, and property. During the 1997 Asian financial crisis, countries had borrowed in someone else's currency. Exchange rates were falling. Debts exploded. The public paid the price. The lesson was clear. Borrowing in someone else's currency leaves you helpless in a crisis. And this story did not stay in the past. In Lebanon, people went to banks and could not withdraw their own money. Doors were locked. Savings vanished. Those who trusted the system lost everything. So what do we take from all this? History does not give us a single magic solution. But it does show a path. Real assets. Liquidity. Caution with debt. And not blindly trusting institutions. But perhaps the most important thing is this. Being able to produce something. Because in times of crisis, money loses meaning. But food is still needed. Repair is still needed. Production is still needed. Every crisis is a transfer. From the unprepared to the prepared. From paper to reality. From those who wait to those who act. Systems collapse. This is inevitable. The real question is what you are holding. A promise? Or something real? History does not whisper. It shouts. And if you don't listen, it will always make you pay the price.